Oh, hey, it's T. I'm making a video on JasonBlaha today. Everybody. Anyway, it's T man back with a video. It's JasonBlaha, the strength and fitness guy. Yeah, the gym lifting, recruiting lifting slave himself. Jeez, he looks amazing in this shot. Holy shit, bro. He's really gaining. Anyways, let's review this video today. Blaha says, a high protein balanced diet works perfect for the average fitness goal. Oh, it does it? Okay, let's see what he has to say.
Most people would be best served by just eating a very high protein, balanced diet. Hey everybody, I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today.
Oh, that's interesting. I agree with that. You should be eating a somewhat high protein diet if you're building muscle. If you have something there to build, it's a necessity. But if you're not building anything and you're adapted, then there's no point in eating all that protein because it could possibly turn toxic. And then it could turn into the energy source of protein. It'll convert to glycogen and be used as an energy source. Really, you want a high fat protein diet. You want to eat more fat, man. That's about it. Okay.
And, I make this statement as someone who has observed all the trends in the so-called fitness industry, all the different diet trends, the fad diets over the decades. Again, I'm 47 years old. I've been in this game over 25 years. Been putting out fitness content for over 12 years.
Oh, has it been 25 years already, Blaha? Amazing. And you've only aged, what, another 20 years, 20, 30, 20, I don't know, 33 years? You're 47, but you look like you're 80?
Online. I've been a full-time coach for quite a few years.
Incredible.
So for me, I see all of these.
Wow, that's some heavy ass weight for your arms. That's really gonna cause them to, what is that you always say? Stimulate to grow. If you stimulate it with the weight, they'll grow magically, even on a shitty cornflakes diet.
Crazy trends, and I would say to most people, realistically, if you're just trying to get fit and in shape, lose body fat, gain some muscle, look good, right? Look good. And all these other things that honestly
See, this is what happens when people get older. They start losing it, and they're like, it start looking better, start looking better. It starts when you're young. Here's the thing. If you truly want to look good, and it took me a long time to learn these things, trust me, learn off my own experience if you're a young person. If you truly want to look young, you need to start early looking young. And it's based on what you eat, your diet. Now, if you're a drug addict eating sugar all day, then you're going to look like a drug addict. You're going to look wasted, and you're going to look diminished, destroyed, and deteriorated. And you'll deteriorate faster as time goes. The deterioration will move even quicker. Now, I've never been a heavy duty person. I've never been a person that ate a lot of fruit or crazy vegetables when I was younger. I mostly ate a lot of protein stuff. Most of my life, I try to eat protein. I remember my friend, I made some spaghetti once, but I ate a lot of meat with spaghetti. I ate less noodles. I'd always put less noodles. It was a filler. I just thought, okay, noodles, it's a filler. But I would put some noodles in there, but I would eat mostly meat than noodles. I always ate more meat than noodles, always growing up. So yeah, I don't know. But like I said, during COVID, I experimented with these fruits and so-called vegetables. When they started to diminish me, man. You know that? They started to diminish me. But now I've restored myself, got better and better because I'm back on my natural diet, which is what you would call carnivore diet. But most of my life, I've eaten meat. And I say, you know what? If you want to look good, stay away from sugar. Stay away from these carbohydrates, these processed foods. Stay away from them. That's why I still have my teeth. I rarely ever go to a dentist. In the past, I rarely ever went to a dentist. And I don't go to a dentist anymore because I'm a pure carnivore.
You really should need to do.
You can turn any slogan or funny quote.
Should need to do at this point is just eat a very high protein diet. Make sure you get lots of vegetables in there, plenty of plants. And
No, don't eat any vegetables or plants. Does he give you a reason why you need to eat vegetables and plants? Why do you need to eat them? Do you need them? Listen, if you're eating meat, do you need vegetables and plants? If meat has all the nutrients, it's not deficient in any nutrient whatsoever. It is not anti-nutrient, and there are no drugs in there called sugar. So why do you need to eat these so-called anti-nutrients? The vegetables, he says, get plenty of plant foods in there. Why? They're anti-nutrient. Why would you eat them? Why do you need to eat them? Oh, so they could become because they're anti-nutrient. So when you do eat the meat, they'll interfere with the absorption of the nutrients. Hello.
kind of keep some idea of your calories. And I go so far as to say that unless we're chasing very specific body weights and body composition goals, I don't think people even need to track their calories crazy close. Meaning, in other words, as long as you are not actively saying, look, I need to eat more to bulk, okay? And if you're eating a clean, balanced diet and your protein is very, very high, particularly if you start eating large amounts of protein, most people are going to lose body fat, okay? If you're...
No, not necessarily. You could eat large amounts of protein and not lose body fat somewhat, because it'll be used as an energy source. It could convert to glycogen. What you need is more animal fat than protein. I think people are mistaken there. He's mistaken.
Active and you're lifting weights. And again, I want to be clear, unless you're trying to get very, very lean, and again, unless maybe you have a completely sedentary job, for most people, they're going to get leaner just eating a high protein diet. Again, when I say high protein, I'm talking exceeding 1 gram per pound of body weight, getting way up there.
Well, yeah, it can help, definitely help. Why is he telling you to get lean? You should be eating protein. What about your plants, dude? He's always promoting plants. First he said plants, then he says high protein, then he says high protein, eat plants. Man, he's all over the place. What happens if you just eat plants? You'll starve yourself. That's what'll happen. It's anti-nutrient.
Again, eating the amount of proteins that aren't even necessary if you're building muscle anymore. I'm talking eating the amount of proteins that are more associated with recomposition, with fat loss. But again, if you're just forcing tons of protein, and then everything else you eat is mostly balanced, occasionally a cheat meal here and there. And I go so far as to say that, yeah, you can have cheat meals, okay? They just can't be all the time. You know, with a once-a-week cheat meal, as long as it's just one big meal. Particularly, you can do something like fast first or do it on your leg day every week. It's probably not going to cause most people harm, because when you look at the net total effect, you may not be creating any sort of weekly surplus out of it. Again, back in the context of if you're eating very high protein. Again, at that point, it is very, very hard for people to gain body fat while forcing down tons of protein. We've seen this in the literature. It is.
Man, here's the thing. Yeah, it is hard to down a lot of protein because your cells fill up with nutrients. That's the whole point. Your body has a stop mechanism, how much nutrients the cells will absorb. But here's the thing. Yeah, there's protein turnover because he's adapted to these exercises. Now, it would be different if you were shooting for an adaptation, which is associated with muscle damage. Protein synthesis is elevated for that entire week, and blood levels are elevated for that entire week during the repair and the remodeling phase. Get it? That's a different type of training. You get all these people, they come online like this crazy guy that's always debunking me. There's more than one way to build muscle. There is. One way you're sarcoplasmic. He says, well, we don't need muscle damage to build muscle. You don't. You could build sarcoplasmic muscles, the fake muscles. Yeah. You get it? There's all kinds of different ways. But you'll still reach a wall. See what I mean? Now, me personally, I do muscle damage because I wanna build more myofibulars. I'm not trying to get the myofibula bigger, just bigger. Get it? And I'm not trying to get some sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. I'm trying to build more myofibulars so they're permanent. That's totally different training, dude.
Extremely difficult, and most people lose body fat. And if someone, again, is being physically active, they're going to lose body fat doing this. If you're at a higher body weight, you're just starting out. If you just start lifting weights and start trying to hit those high protein numbers, like I said, exceeding 1 gram per pound of body weight.
The only time I try to exceed that high number in protein is if I've got muscle, if I had an adaptation, muscle damage. If I reached an adaptation and I've damaged muscles, then I'm going to, protein synthesis needs to exceed this breakdown to start building those muscles. You need to be in an anabolic growth state that entire week because protein synthesis is elevated during the entire week and blood levels are elevated during the entire week of that repair and that remodeling. Hello. If you get an adaptation, which the majority of people in the gym are not getting any adaptations. Occasionally they do, and they don't even know what that is. They just go, I got sore for a couple of days. And then they don't even do anything about it. They don't go and eat or anything. They're stupid. It becomes apoptotic.
Okay, so if you're obese, that's going to be an even higher amount. Most people are going to lose. They're going to start losing body fat. Again, particularly if your focus is on eating a significant amount of vegetables every.
Again, I have a question for you, Blaha. How do you increase your natural strength? How does one increase their natural strength? I didn't say practiced lifting a heavy weight. I'm talking about your physical natural strength. How do you increase it? And this guy with the vegetables, Jesus.
Single day. Right, that's kind of a winning combination. And I would say if those needs are met, until we start getting to the extremes, maybe even the point where I'm at and moving forward, you may not need to think about all these other things. People get so caught up in all this other nonsense. I mean, I see people.
Jesus, he looks terrible, man. He looks like he's 80 years old. Look at this sarcopenic lifting slave. This is crazy.
Really worrying about things that are completely absurd. Like if you think inflammation.
Introducing Z.
Things that are completely absurd. Like if you think inflammation, like, oh, my diet causes some inflammation, therefore it's slowing down my body fat. Well, that's just not true.
If your diet is causing inflammation, you're in for a world of hurt.
If you have an intolerance of a food, like an intolerance as far as a gastrointestinal intolerance, it is absolutely not going to impede fat loss. If anything, it does the opposite. Like severe intolerances to foods cause you to start losing weight. That's one of the problems with it. It might not be so bad for someone who's obese, but someone who's quite thin, they can be deadly. Okay? Because they can cause malnutrition and starvation. So that's what people forget with those intolerances. They start worrying about that. They're worrying about lectins in foods. They're worried about anti-nutrients. Things like this, my God. Like if you really think that is even remotely a factor in weight loss, you're completely ignoring basic biology. And again, I've done countless videos on why those things are not major issues and how to counter them. But even in a situation where they are, if these are things that are causing you to malabsorb nutrients or to defecate them out undigested, that's going to cause fat loss, not fat gain. Sorry, nonsense. People who feel they have to cut all carbohydrates out of their diet. I mean, I get it. If you want to cut all refined sugars out, that's a smart move. But carbohydrates themselves, it's silly.
No, it's not. You should cut out all carbohydrates out of your diet. You should swap the carbohydrates for animal fat as energy. It's a known fact in science that it tells you your body runs better on your mitochondria run better on animal fat. If you keep running them on carbohydrates, you will get metabolic diseases. You'll end up with DNA damage. You may end up with cancer, a whole bunch of things. So that is another reason why you should stop at a certain point. You should stop doing that. Even in your youth, if you want to be young, if you want to look young and feel young and be young for as long as you can, if I were you, I'd start early eating a high-fat animal diet. Yeah, man. Start practicing eating quality food. Stop eating garbage, slave food, like Blaha. Because This is an example. This is what you don't want to end up being, like Blaha. Now, if you want to end up looking and being like Blaha, eat what he's doing. Do what he's doing, and you'll be like that, exactly like him.
Someone who needs to cut out all animal products. I mean, I'll be the first to say saturated fat, probably not the best thing you could be eating for health or fat loss. I think we all agree there. But the idea that leaner animals.
Yes, animal saturated fat is amazing. You should be eating it. Yes, yes, you should be eating as much as you can.
Products. Oh no, that's ludicrous. That's insane. The data shows the opposite. Extremely high protein intakes cause fat loss. They tend to cause fat loss if your protein gets high enough. It's almost impossible for people to not.
Not necessarily. A lot of people went on carnivore. They were eating high protein. They said they were gaining weight. Why is that? I don't know. Maybe because it was converting to glycogen. It's being used as an energy source. Too high of protein can become toxic. Anything that you eat in excessive amounts can become toxic. That's why I spread it out. I eat a lot of seafood and I eat beef, but I eat a lot of animal fat as well. See? I eat a lot of everything, but not a lot of one thing. That's the difference. He's wanting you to eat a lot of one thing, which can become toxic. Think about it. If you down 4 liters of water in one shot, is that not toxic to your brain? Yeah. So what the hell is Blaha talking about? Anything in excessive amounts can be toxic. Now, we know that plants are toxic for sure, right? Okay. What happens when you eat a lot of one plant? The toxicity builds up, doesn't it? Right. Okay. Steroids are toxic, right? What happens if you inject a huge, massive injection, a huge amount of steroids in one shot? The toxicity is sky high. See what I mean? The molecule itself is not going to kill you. It's the toxicity that'll destroy you. So what is Blaha talking about?
Body fat. So again, that's a ludicrous idea. Or people who are like, not eating vegetables. Again, this is silliness. This is silliness.
Yeah,
none of these things are going to help you lose body fat. In fact, people are sitting here cutting.
This is silliness. It's so important for me to lose body fat. I'm gonna tell you something, man. If you drop your body fat under 10%, your testosterone's gonna plummet. That's what's gonna happen. They say the best range is between 10, 15, or 15 and 20. Okay, for some people 15, 20 body fat. For some maybe 10, 15. But anything under 10, man, I don't know. It's really hard to say. Your testosterone starts getting really low.
Out foods that may actually help them lose body fat in the name of these fad diets. And of course, I think
Why is your testosterone, anyways? Why is your testosterone low when you're under like 10% body fat? Most likely because you're undernourished. Because you're trying to maintain that.
the worst one is the flexible dieting. As long as you hit your calories, you can work in whatever junk food you want. Now that's going to be the hardest thing in the world to follow. That's actually a problem, because I would say if you cut the junk food out or start really limiting it, and I don't mean moderate it to certain amounts every day, I mean moderate it to cheat meals. Okay, you're going to find weight loss and body composition far easier to handle. As far as getting hungry, if you're eating a lot of protein and a lot of vegetables, your appetite's going to be way more managed. Okay, and if the protein's high enough, you're still going to be able to gain muscle and improve your body composition, even if you're losing a little bit of weight and body fat oftentimes. Again, as long as we're strength training. So again, that's really for most people, that's...
As long as you're strength training? What type of strength training are you doing? Are you talking about lifting or trying to increase your natural strength? I don't know, man, what he's doing. There's so many different things, but this guy obviously doesn't know anything, but whatever, man.
That's the key. If they simply want a better physique and a better body and to be leaner and more toned and more fit, start lifting weights regularly, right? Make it a regular part of your lifestyle, massively increase your protein intake, and and start limiting just junk food in general to maybe a once a week.
Here's the thing: people will, like I said, people will write me. We're gonna, the debunking guy. Oh, there's more than one way to build muscle, but he never tells you. He never explains to you what are these more ways to build muscles. I explain exactly what happens when muscles are damaged. I explain exactly the whole process when muscles are damaged. The progenitor wakes up, it splits, divides, increases in numbers, proliferates, differentiates into myoblasts, fibroblasts. It repairs and remodels these fibers. It takes the week period, blah, 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 blah. I go through the whole explanation. Protein synthesis needs to exceed this breakdown during that period. Blood levels are elevated. Protein synthesis is extended during the repair and remodeling. But this guy, when he tells you, he says, hey, man, you need to stimulate muscles to grow. The weights stimulate them, and then they magically grow. Okay, how do they grow from this stimulation? What's the process? He never tells you any of the process. You stimulate it with the weight. How do you stimulate it? By lifting it. Okay, it stimulates and then it just magically grows. What is the process, Blaha? What is exactly happening in the cell during this so-called stimulus that you call stimulus? You stimulated it and it causes it to grow. How does it cause it to grow? Does it expand? Does it get damaged? What does it get? Hypoxia? What does it get there exactly? How is it growing during this stimulus? Please give us a rundown of it. See, I tell you what I do in my channel. I do muscle damage, okay? That's all I do in my channel. I don't do stimulus. I don't do fatiguing. I don't do sarcoplasmic or any of these fucking weird things, dude. These phony weight gaining shit. I gotta eat a lot of carbohydrates or got a carb load or whatever the fuck you're talking about there. But at least I can explain the process on my channel. But you can't even explain it in your channel at all. And you're not growing because you're not building anything. I don't see anything happening here. You're a liar.
Meal or once every 2 week cheat meal. You know, your pizza, your ice cream, your things like that. Limit that stuff to
Again, listen to what he says. Your cheat meal, your ice cream and all that, your cheat meal. Like I said, if you're a serious lifter, I don't know. You want to do some cheat meals? Here's the thing. If you do a cheat meal on an empty stomach, that's the first thing that's going to get absorbed. See what I mean? But if you eat a high carnivore diet and you do your phony cheat meals at the end, let's say you had some ice cream at the end, it's not going to get absorbed. It's going to go out. It's going to saturate. It's going to go out as an empty calorie because your body can only absorb so many nutrients in the beginning. The cells are filled. They're just going to throw that shit out. But if you eat it in the beginning, that's the first thing that's absorbed.
cheat meal. And make it one meal where you stop there. That's it. For most people, that will get you into shape. It really is that simple. They don't need these crazy fad diets. You don't start needing extreme diets so you're trying to get shredded. Okay? All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that.
Blaha, this is the way Blaha always looks. He's never built any muscle, and I can prove he's never built any muscle. I can prove it. I can prove it. I could take him to a CT scan. It'll show if you have a CT scan of Blaha when he first started lifting and now at this point in time and age in his life, it'll show his fiber count is exactly the same. The fiber count is exactly the same. There's nothing going on there, man. It's a waste of time.
Today, I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.
It was extremely uninformative. It made no sense whatsoever. If you want to lose body fat, it's a known fact. A majority of people, they go high fat and then protein and then whatever else. Okay? Don't eat too much of one thing because you're looking for trouble. It can become toxic. See you in the next one, friends. Don't you think about that like, subscribe, support the channel, helps with the algorithm. I'll see you in the next one. Blaha. I would never take advice from this guy. Just looking at him is bad advice. Just looking at him says bad advice. See you in the next one.